everybody, the Skate
Washington, Mikey.
Rock and Roll Roundtable.
Absolutely presented by our good friends over at Moshman Media.
This week, 2025 wrap up.
Another year, another season. By the wayside here, quite a bit happened in 2025. I thought, it just from a standpoint of we had quite a few guests this year.
Yes.
I think that was pretty cool to have more guests, more involvement. We got to go on some outings, together as the Moshmen.
Yeah.
We went on a few, like four concert outings, so that was cool. And we discussed a lot of things, and we lost a lot of had a lot of celebrity passings this year.
Yeah.
So it was a busy year. I mean, I don't think anybody, from my point of view anyway, took the world by storm musically.
No.
Except I have to throw it out for Sleep Token. Whether you like Sleep Token or hate Sleep Token, they've caused quite the interest in the United States. I mean, the North American tour sold out almost instantaneously. There's the whole mystique of who is it, who's the singer, who's the drummer, who's this and that. Their music is not metal by any means, but people seem to gravitate towards it a little more.
Yeah.
It was to me even more than Ghost did. When Ghost hit with their everything they had going on, Ghost was a little more radio friendly, I thought. But Sleep Token's probably the biggest like stir up, not so much overtaking the world like a Beatles or Metallica's Black Album or anything like that. But it was more like they're very interesting. Is this the way music is going? They combine so many genres into one band. Is that the new wave, or is it just a one-off, or a few hitters here and there? It's yet to be determined. I think they've cooled down now. I don't hear about them like I did. Spring and summer. That's all you heard about.
Yeah.
This album coming out and all these songs, and yeah, it was just they were on a lot of radars. I think people kind of got over it a little bit because the mystique only gets you so far.
Yeah.
Because if you don't like the music, if you're not into the five genres in one song, then it wouldn't interest you at all. Or because a lot of people are allegiant to heavy or light. I'm a chameleon. I admit that. I got ADHD, and like I've mentioned a bunch of times, all the way from yacht rock to deathcore. It doesn't matter. But some people are not that way. They are this category or that. So 2025, though, I mean, a couple of the biggest icons that I had growing up passed away. And I know that Ace Frehley did not get as much recognition or hoopla as Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah.
Which is understandable because Ozzy had not only Black Sabbath, but the outstanding solo career and all the people attached to Ozzy. And Ace was basically just one of my heroes as a kid because of the Kiss Army. And even though he wasn't in Kiss for many years, and you got to see him the last time. I did not get to see him on his solo stuff. So that was a hard one. It wasn't like devastating because they're in their 70s. To me, it just doesn't hit as hard when they're in their 70s and they've lived a good life. Ozzy's the same way. Ozzy was 75. I think Ace was 71 or 2 or something. You feel bad just as a person, as a human being. that these guys passed away, and they gave you some great music for many, many years of your life. But at the same time, when a young person died, the 27 Club,
Yeah.
that was more devastating. But yeah, it still
Because
sucks.
yeah,
It still
that
sucks.
they could have possibly had a longer career, could have given you more music. So it seems a lot more tragic when it's cut short, when they're
Yeah,
just
yeah. To
starting
me, like
basically.
the Cornells and the Chester Benningtons and that died at their age is more devastating to me, even though I might like Ozzy and Ace's music more. But to know what Cornell was capable of and what he did,
Yeah,
and Chester, it was like, and they were much younger, a lot younger.
yeah,
So anyway, I don't want to talk about death the whole time. And there's probably a list of people that passed this year, but I really don't know them all. But I know those two were the big hitters for me.
yeah,
There was some oddballs. Not, I don't want to say it oddball like bad. It's just people that were in bands for a long time that passed away, but I wasn't like into their music. So if they were out there, God bless you. If you, passed away, anybody that's a big fan of these people. I know a guitar player passed away recently that was like
yeah.
a big deal.
Steve Cropper passed
Okay.
away, and he
Yeah.
was in the Blues Brothers. He was in the
Oh,
Blues
okay.
Brothers movie, and done a
Ah,
lot of stuff. So he was a blues player that
yeah.
was pretty famous. But it's how relevant are the Blues Brothers now?
Yeah.
It's unfortunate because it's like
Yeah, I mean, and it's like I don't think they would care if they had a big being dead. I don't care. They're gonna the world stops for them or anything. But it's just nice to respect people
yeah,
because you might not have known them personally, but they affected your life somewhat. No matter what. Like Ace was that way for me as a young kid, and
yeah,
I'll never forget what I saw and heard from Ace really when I was a kid. And Ozzy was later in my life. That even Ozzy as a person with the TV show and stuff. You could
yeah,
just tell he was pretty genuine dude, And that's the kind of guys you hate to see. But like I said, when you're 70s, it's much more easy to
yeah.
to manage with for me.
Well,
Anyway,
so it's funny you speak of the devil, Ozzy.
yeah.
I actually watched Paramount Plus has got a thing on Ozzy,
Okay.
and that was pretty good. And they were there talking to him, and kind of almost the last like 3 or 4 years, where they were kind of showing how he was doing right before the end. And it
Oh,
was really good, and it really kind of opened your eyes to what he was going through, and the botched surgeries that he had, that the doctors actually made it worse. And you're like going, he was in constant fucking pain.
yeah, yeah,
And he was having blood clots and all this stuff, and I'm like, it was really interesting to kind of see Ozzy in that last few years before he passed and what he was going through. So really, that big show that they did was a pretty fucking big deal for him.
yeah, yeah. To even make it to that, yeah, I can see that now because it was shortly after that he passed. So it's like waiting for someone to come to your hospital room. He was waiting for that show. Maybe you could think that.
Yes.
Waiting to do that last show so he could give everybody that's a fan a goodbye, a proper
Yeah.
goodbye. So it was cool that he could do it. And I'm sure everybody appreciates that. They got to see it and even live streaming stuff. But I mean, as far as we're talking here. We got to do 4 shows this year. We had 4 outings that we talked about every one we went to except the last one, which the last one was the Ginger Show. Well, I shouldn't say Ginger show. I should say Trivium because they were the headliner. But Ginger was, I was interested for you to see Ginger because I've talked about him so many times, and you've kind of warmed up to not all, but some of their music, and it was a new venue for me, and I thought that was cool that we got to, I got to see a new venue for that, and man, it was just that was a good show. I mean, I thought Ginger did well, but of course, only 45 minutes, which sucks because I wanted you to get the, I kind of wanted you to get the full effect, which would have been double that. But
Yeah.
you could see, I think, from that experience, what I why I like them so much. At least, my musical listening palette anyway. So
Yeah.
I think it was neat to at least get to see that together. And we discovered a new band while we were there.
Yeah.
I thought they were interesting, and that was Harriet. And so yeah, it was that was the ending of the year for us last month, and it was a good show. Can't complain. Trivium come out with my favorite song, which was beautiful. So it's like everything went according to plan. Uh, we had some other shows this summer we went to. We had just talked about our 70s band recently in
Yeah.
an episode of a few back. And we got to see two of them with Kansas and 38 Special. We went together and seen them at the Rose down in Dayton. Another great venue, another really good show. And it was an outdoor show, which is cool. And previously, we had gotten to see, another new venue for me and you was Clyde Theater in
Yeah.
Fort Wayne. And we got to go see Jeff Tate and Operation Mindcrime, which super cool to see him do it now all the way through. And his opener was I'm a new fan, Tomas McCarthy. Interesting music. It wasn't any in my wheelhouse, but it was very cool. His wife was awesomely talented as well. And it was weird because I just seen a video where Jeff Tate was doing an unstripped acoustic version of Sweet Sister Mary, which I didn't think was going to be any good, but it was very, very good. Just like sitting in a cafe with the people. And Tomas, I always call him Thomas, is Tomas. His wife actually did the girl part in that. And that was pretty cool. But yeah, overall, that was a great show. And we also got to go, and this was out of your wheelhouse, but you still went, tried it. My Baron Cross that was off.
Yeah.
I finally got to knock off my 35-year bucket list. I got to see Baron Cross at BMI. The opening was X Center. I thought they were really good too. I thought Baron Cross killed it. I mean, it was just. I know it's not everybody's taste, but I thought they killed it. And it was like I was so glad I got to see him. And so yeah, we had some interesting outings. Everything from Christian metal to power metal, or I should say groove metal, to power metal, because Trivium is power metal, kind of, sort of. So yeah, it was good, well balanced adventures we had this year, and we got to talk about them all. So yeah, that was a cool part of the year for me.
Well, I was actually impressed with Ginger's live set. So even if I may not always liked all their albums, because there's always a few songs here and there that I was like, yeah, I really like that one. That was cool. But actually getting to see them live and hear her do that live was that just brought that up a level. It really did. It
Yeah,
was like, yeah, these guys are pretty fucking good. So I'd like
yeah,
to go check them out again and actually catch a full set.
Yeah, that would be my ideal situation for you would be to catch them doing the headlining show. Yeah, because they played a lot of the new album, which is great. I love the new album. I mean, it's number one on my listening list for the year. It's the metal album of the year for me. I mean, absolutely, 100%. But yeah, they played some other standards on there. You know, they slipped a couple from Micro in there, and of course they did Pisces at the end. You can't beat that.
Yeah,
So yeah, but their live show was just as good as I remembered it. Uh, and yeah, it was good to share that, and so you can understand a little better why I obsess, I guess you would call it, over gender a little bit. But yeah, it was just a good time. And we don't get to do a lot of shows together. You've gone to a lot, I've went to a lot, but sometimes the cosmos align and we get to do shows together, which is
yeah,
kind of cool. So and we both can share our experiences because we both were there.
yeah,
And sometimes I have different opinions. Sometimes you do. Like I loved Kansas. You were like,
yeah,
it's like yeah, I get it. So it's interesting just to have those experiences. And it's also the experiences we have when we have guests on the show. Because usually the guests are, and I'll openly admit this, Skeet generates the guest. Okay. I mean, he goes out and does the footwork to get guests and invites them on the show. And I have to learn about the guests, which is cool for me because I got to watch their shows, which, yeah, you should. You watch each other's content. And I had to learn about these people. And then we had them on the show. And it always seemed like when the show was over, it's like, are you kidding? We've been talking for 20 minutes and it's been an hour and a half.
yeah,
It's like one of those deals. And all the guests we had were super cordial. They were willing to talk about whatever we talked. They all answered our 10 questions and didn't have a hesitation, or at least they didn't act like they thought they were stupid or something.
yeah,
They went along and they sometimes they would roll off topic and we'd get into a full blown conversation about just life. So it was super. All the guests were great. Everybody, you get people like hair metal, got the hair metal guru, and you got Crash, and then we had Kaylee here at the end of the year. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't pick a favorite guest. I thought they were all interesting in their own way, and it was nice to interact with other people that do the same things we do.
yeah,
Maybe not all exactly the they have different content, of course, but it was just nice to relax knowing that they know what's going on. They're not intimidated by the camera. They're not
yes,
they're not
yeah,
worried about it. And they didn't talk about their show for like hours. They didn't just go on there to promote their show. They genuinely just talked music. That's what they did. And it was like super cool. You did a great job of getting our guests. And someday I've reached out a couple times, but I have no luck yet. I'm more about getting bands to come on. Somebody from a band, and I've reached out a couple times. It hasn't worked out, but I will continue to try that in 2026. I'm big on the up and coming bands. I like to get them because you got a shot. You're not going to get.
yeah,
I'm not going to get Tatiana at this point to do the show, but there might be enough
yeah,
coming in. A Casey Carlson or Liv and Lizzie from Not Enough Space, and that's who I tried to reach out to.
yeah,
But there's always going to be somebody new that you might catch one. You might catch one, and it didn't hurt that I thought those bands were phenomenal. I might have fanboyed a little too hard. You never know, but still, great year
well,
for guests. I mean,
you gotta shoot your
we
shot, man. You gotta put it out there. If you don't put it out there, You're never
Yeah,
gonna know. So
and if sometimes it fails miserably, but hey, I'm going to keep trying. When I see somebody that I really think is interesting, I mean that's what for me. They have to be interesting to me, or for me in a band anyway, because that's what I want to. I want to talk about a lot of things, not just the band, but I want to have knowledge of the band. That's why I go and do my homework. When we get a
yeah.
guest, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go watch some of their show to know what they're about. But yeah, I enjoyed the guest. I mean, how many did we have this year? Four? I'm not. I know the three off the top of my head, but I just can't.
When we got the schedule like we do, it's kind of hard to be like,
Yeah,
was that last year? Was that this year?
yeah,
Was it?
yeah. That's what I
They
get
all
mixed
kind of
up.
runs in together, and then trying to always, I you know, you work your ass off to try to keep something new and interesting, and we try not to dip back, but there's some formats that we go, okay, let's do this album or a classic album breakdown. So we've got like certain things that we still want to touch on that we can always go back to if we don't have something new and interesting that you've come up with. So, that's I think that's the hardest part. For me getting a guest, it's trying to find somebody interesting or that wants to talk about music that maybe doesn't get a chance to talk about music.
Yeah, yeah. That was like Kaylee's
That was
situation.
Kaylee,
She
she
doesn't have a music show per se, but
yes.
she really likes music. She likes my more of my music,
Yes.
even heavier
Yeah.
than what I knew of.
Yes.
So it's like that's pretty cool that you don't find that every day. And just some of the oddball stuff, like being friends with Dan Lilliker. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Her ex-husband was in a band with Dan Lilliker,
Yeah.
and just off the cuff, just like it's nothing. That to me
Yeah.
is a big deal. Dan Lilliker is like, he's one of my guys
Yeah.
from being MOD or SOD fan for all those years. So it's like, yeah, it was just nice to hear perspective from other people.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, we've had numerous guests, and like you said, they run together. We've had music fans, we've had musicians just doing trying to do a show of their own, just starting like us. We've had band members of yours, that friends of mine that we've had a multitude of different guests, and they all bring something. They've all brought something to the table. So it was another good year, I thought, for guests. And yeah, I don't know what else to say about them except we appreciate them and we're glad they came on the show and they all were interesting guests. And I think every one of those shows was an hour plus,
Yeah.
easy. And we went to the new format this year where we're trying to keep it simple and shorter. So it's something that ain't always going to work. We don't want to just try to cram it in because we have a time limit. If a show goes 45 minutes, it goes 45 minutes. If it goes 4.5 hours, so be it, at this
Yeah.
point. But we try because we genuinely don't want to have a big matzo ball out there for an hour if we're just repeating ourselves or we're just filling air time. We get to the point, we kind of leave it for you to investigate yourself. That's kind of been our thing this year, the rabbit hole. You can go down the same rabbit hole we just went down, like the
Yeah.
Fratellis. People like the Fratellis I never knew about.
Yeah.
That ended up being a pretty fun whole junkyard. Finding
Yeah.
out the whole junkyard collection was outstanding. I never thought of them much as a band. They were absolutely great back in the day. These up and coming bands, that not enough
Yeah.
spaces that people have to go listen to because I can't listen to them for you. And some people have probably went and said, "What's this screaming garbage? I can't stand this." Other people were like, "Oh man, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, here's a new band I can dig." So it's kind of like we're giving advice And sometimes, when we're talking about bands that we've heard, nobody else, a lot of these people out there never heard of. Other times we're giving our input on bands that everybody knows. And that's the way I kind of like to do it. Because listen, I'm a Metallica fan to an extent. I don't think they're God's green earth, but I think they're very well respected. They're well deserved to be that respected. So we've talked about them. You went to see them. The last album, though, I'll tell you straight up, I didn't think it was. I thought it was shit. And that's one of the things. It's like I don't have any fear in saying that because I guarantee there's a lot of people, just music listeners, they're going to agree with that statement. The Metallica heads will not agree with that
Yeah.
statement. So, but you got to put yourself out there. If you can't be honest, if
Well,
you can't be honest and
yeah,
truthful with your opinions, then you shouldn't be on the internet doing anything.
yeah.
You're just another con man.
Well,
That's why, yeah, I
if
don't sugarcoat it.
if we catch flack, but we're being honest. I mean, everybody knows opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one.
Yeah,
So, but we're not. I'm not gonna fucking shill for fucking anybody that I don't at least try to listen to their stuff. So if I don't have any input because I haven't heard a band, I just kind of go, "Hey, I haven't heard them. I can't give you an opinion because I haven't given them a shot." So we're
right.
trying to be as honest with everybody as possible.
Yeah,
So
I mean, I don't look for controversy, but
yeah, no,
sometimes it
never.
it brings itself in, and it's like, okay, I'm going to address, the unretired bands episode we did. Yeah, I have pretty strong opinions about, I think they're fucking conning you when they tell you it's the last time you're ever going to see them, and then they wait 6 months and come right back out. That's bullshit.
Yeah,
And it's just the way it is for me. And I have nothing against people wanting to unretire, but don't make it sound like you're never going to play another note again just to, get everybody prepared. And they see the show and they're like, okay, I can focus on something. And then they come out 6 months and say, oh, by the way, that pissed me off. That's one of
yeah.
the things that I think people got a little mad about was the way I dogged unretired me. Another a strange email I got. It was a pretty strange email about Pink Floyd. They did not like that I did care for Pink Floyd. That "Wish You Were Here" was one of the best albums of all time. I say that's horseshit. It's just not, but it's not my listening style enough. But I think they're overrated. I always have.
Well,
And it's like I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, I've heard every Pink Floyd song ever. No, I haven't. But I did listen when we made ourselves
yes.
listen to The Dark Side of the Moon all the way through. Wish You Were Here all the way through. We did all that. It just didn't impress me that much. Sorry, dude. I don't mean to
That's
step
funny.
on you, but yeah.
You got it. You got some fucking hate mail for that.
No, yeah, that was. I mean, it wasn't hate mail. It was just He just said he was surprised that we didn't have more love for Pink Floyd. And I'm like, dude, it's really, and
Well,
I explained it, I thought pretty well. I emailed back. I said, it's not just Pink Floyd, it's that style. I'm not a big Tool fan. I like some of it. But any of that, like out there kind of music, I like in your face, bare bones rock music or heavy groove metal. Groove metal's my favorite. Of course, you see Ginger, but like even the older groove metal bands, Suicidal,
uh,
in their heyday, but groove metal. It's just groove where you feel you can bounce around to it. Yeah, yeah. Anything that makes me move, I'm into. I don't want stuff that makes me feel like I took a Xanax. That's Tool. That's Pink Floyd. That's A Perfect Circle. It's like all that stuff is great musicianship. Don't get me wrong. These guys were great musicians, but it's not. It's just not me. And I'm glad that Bill, he got a hold of me and said, yeah, Hey, dude, what's no love for? And it's like he understood when he responded to the email that I sent him back. He goes, "Yeah, I can see that." He said, I'm just a big Pink Floyd fan." Like, yeah, that's great. I'm glad that you. I said, Nate, I did tell him though, and this is what I'll tell the people that are listening now, watching now, if you are, leave the comment below about it.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
that because emailing me is one thing, and I can respond in kind. But the comments, you might get more people that go on your side, or they might, just have a little dialogue.
Yeah.
Me and
The
him was fun.
discussion is the best part. So it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, it's always the
okay,
best
that's cool that you feel that way, but we tried to explain why we felt that way, and we gave the credit where it was due. So that's what
part.
gets it makes it interesting. So
Yeah, yeah.
that's
Music
cool
and
that you got an email for that. That's cool.
yeah, music is an opinion-based business, man.
Yeah.
It's there's no wrong answer. If you like we had Kaylee on the show, and she brought up a band that her favorite band of all time, Macabre. I honestly had heard the name, never listened to them. So I go listen to it after the show, and I say, I'm gonna dig it. Man, it's not for me.
Yeah.
But I can understand the appeal with the whole album about Jeffrey Dahmer, serial killers, or whatever it was. And it's like they are brash, bare boned, in your face, like punk deathcore or something. So it's like I learned. I went and gave them a shot. I didn't care for them. I mean, I didn't. I shouldn't say I didn't care for them. I just they're not everyday listening pleasure for me. They'd probably be cool to see live because the shows look insane. People jumping around, how they are at this kind of show. But yeah, it's definitely an opinion based business. It's like I liked when we were in a band together, and I liked the band I did after that, and I love I love that music. But a lot of people thought I sucked, and that's like okay, I'm okay with that. You think I suck as a singer? That's fine. I don't think I'm great either, but I enjoyed it. I liked listening to it. I still do. So everything has an opinion. Ginger being the best band on the planet, I'm probably in a very, very, very low minority on that. I know I am. But hey, it's my opinion.
Yeah.
It's what I like. I'm not gonna cower down and say, "Oh, but Metallica's still number one." No, no,
No.
no way. Metallica touches Ginger in any way, shape, or form. It's just not in my universe. That doesn't exist. So yeah, so I bet, but the year we did a lot of trade offs this year, which you got to learn a lot of new music you hadn't heard. I got to investigate bands like Junkyard I talked about. I think one of yours interesting ones that I gave you might have been. Well, I know I gave you a Trivium. I gave you Trivium,
Yeah.
and then we got to go see them too. So yeah, the Virgin Ears was cool this year. The Fratellis was a nice surprise, like I said. But there was, some semi virgin years when I talked about the Pink Floyd stuff. And, we've talked about doing that since. Picking more albums like that we just never took the time to listen to. So
Yeah.
we might do that in 26. I mean, I'm always talked about Revolver from the Beatles. I've never heard that album.
Yeah.
I've never heard of the whole album of Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys. It's supposed to be these classic genius albums. And maybe I'll have to find out myself. But that's the future. So what do you got to say about the 2025 season? What do you think stands out for you on your end?
I kind of liked the shorter format. I
Yeah.
kind of like
Yeah.
that to try to keep people's interest and get more to the point. I know sometimes we rambled, especially when we first started doing it. We didn't know what the hell we were doing or what we wanted to
Right.
do. So I think 2025 we kind of focused in a little bit more and said, okay, let's try a shorter format. Uh the live streaming at the beginning of the year was cool, but I just think with the schedules the way they are, it's so hard for us in our private lives to actually say, okay, we're going to do this live stream every week or every 2 weeks. It's just
Yeah.
so hard, and trying to get shows in. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
apologize. We kind of wanted to do that a little bit more. We didn't. If someone would kind of say, try it again or whatever, maybe we could touch on that again next year. I mean, winter's a
Yeah.
little bit easier to do that stuff because you're snowed in or you don't want to go out in the cold or you don't have anything going on.
Right.
So that's something we always can do. So that's always open to do. Maybe we could try to do a couple next year as well. I don't know.
Yeah. You never know. It's a constantly evolving situation here because you never know what you're going to talk about. You just gotta think of topics that are interesting to me or to him, and I try to go that way with a topic. And there's going to be some episodes like this one's the different episode because it's just talking about
Yeah,
the past and some of the future. But we always like to have a topic to center around and then go off of that. So, any interest that people have out there that you want to put in the comments would be fantastic for to help us out with like stuff that you would be interested in hearing about. And we're open to every genre. We like to stay in rock and metal, but it doesn't have to be seriously hard rock or death metal or metalcore. It can be Judas Priest, or it can be Boston, or it can be anything in between. Um, yeah, and it's like maybe stretching it out. I think we've talked about every main genre that there is, but there's a lot of subgenres. If somebody's really into reggae core, let us know some bands. I found one this summer, but it's
yeah,
just the one band. Maybe there's a whole slew of them out there. I don't know, but you know, for the past year, I'd say it was more topic based. For the coming year, which maybe mix it up more, but you gotta have a topic to kind of center around. But we'd be open for any and all suggestions on what those topics might be. Otherwise, you're just going to get my topics that hit or miss. Some of them do really well. And, people are really interested, and some people are like, I don't care about the 70s or you're going to have that. It's like I said, opinion based industry is what we're in. So yeah, that's my only thing. I didn't say that I thought we did a lot of good shows this year, and if the goal is to improve. So 2026, we're going to get better at it. We're getting more comfortable. Hopefully, we have a lot of good shows next year. I'm going to try my best to be more articulate, maybe not talk as much. It depends on the situation. Talk more, talk less. Know the room. So maybe next year. But right now, I'm rambling like I usually do.
yeah.
So I'm going to send it back to you before I keep talking.
uh and again, we're kind of talking to anybody out there who's listening. If you've got a suggestion for a guest, or if you'd like to be a guest, hit us up. We always have our email. Message me on X. That's why I have that little thing right here, right here.
Yeah.
You
Or
know,
that's me on X
now
too. That
find
right there.
find me here on X. Reach out. I'll message you back if you got an idea or a guest, or if you want to be a guest. Get a hold of me. Get back with us. I
Yeah.
pretty much
Yeah.
let's hope we have some more guests, a couple more live streams, and some more interesting topics. Maybe we'll do some weird off the wall type fucking topics and just kind of
Yeah.
shoot the shit about it for a whole half hour, 45 minutes, something like that, and we'll just see where it goes.
Yeah, I'd say that's a good thing. And just a shout out there if you are on Facebook by chance, Moshman Media, add us to your or get a hold of me on there. I run that page, Moshman Media too, and for them, and be friends with us on Facebook, and you'll get the instantaneous when the show comes out, and some other oddball stuff may be on there at times, and yeah, that's just another outlet to get a hold of us. Got YouTube, Rumble, X, and now Facebook.
I'm bummed we don't have MySpace anymore.
Yeah, yeah. So
I'm kidding.
I liked it. I liked it.
Well, all right, Mikey. I'm pretty sure we could probably wrap up the wrap up.
Yeah, yeah. I'd say so. I've talked long enough for one day. So,
All right, this is Skeet.
Masha and Mikey over here.
Everybody have a happy new year.
Yep.
See ya.
Peace out till 2026.